Well, as a player, I do get to watch some games, so that's the beauty of it because games are usually like during the day, like on a Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday or some, as the tournament goes on. So we get some time to be able to cheer on our alma maters and get some bragging rights in those categories. But to be able to play in that realm of March Madness, man, like it's kind of hard to explain. Like you got to be in it to understand it, but it's win or go home. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything is on the line. It's the bright lights, unbelievable arenas. You're playing in fast arenas now, and your fans are traveling well, and it's just an unbelievable atmosphere. Once in a lifetime type of feeling. I like Florida. We had a rough championship game. Our big fella, man, our 7-footer got hurt like the first couple minutes of the game, and I think he had like a lower leg fracture or something like that. So that was tough. That was like a demoralizing kind of blow to the team, and you can see it affected us. We didn't really shoot the ball well, but because that's something we pride ourselves on is paint presence, rebounding, and being able to knock down threes. Coach Golden's been excellent at that. But I love their chances, man. I think they're in a tough bracket. I'm gonna see this bracket. They're in a little tough one. In the South bracket, you got Houston at one. Houston's been playing unbelievable ball. You got Houston, Duke, Kentucky. So it's a little bit loaded, and they can potentially see Marquette in the second round. So it gets a little muggy. Gets a little muggy. But I'm always rooting for my Gators. I believe our guard play is unbelievable. And we just got to continue to just push forward. I know it's gonna be tough without our big fella. He was huge for us in the thing. Oh man, I've always been a fan of Purdue since I've been recruited in high school by Matt Painter. I love what he stands for, and just the products he produces on the floor. And Zach's one of them, And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we share the same agent. I think his NIL agent is a part of my agency. So I think that's pretty cool. But he's a special talent, man. To be 7'4", he's a difference maker. Like there's nothing you could do with him on the floor. Like he's dominant. He's National Player of the Year conversation every year for a reason. And he could have got drafted last year, but he stayed back and now he's dominating college again. So he's constantly proving himself. Probably against a lot of naysayers that don't, believe that he can, withstand. But I think he has a really good chance of making an impact in the league. And obviously, he has a good run with Purdue to focus on first. And I love their chances to go deep. I actually got them in the Final Four. Oh yeah, it's their tournament to lose. I mean, during Dan Hurley, he has these guys locked in on the constant. I've always been a fan of how he coaches. Just watching even from Jordan Hawkins' development, from last year, and just see how he transitioned into the league as a young rookie, and the impact that he's having has been. I mean, that's all a product of Coach Hurley, and like you just said, like they're 31-3, like they're dominant on all levels, and not saying that their bracket, I mean, their region is weak, but it's a little lighter than the rest of them, So they definitely, it's kind of up to them to lose a little bit, and they may face a tough Auburn team down the stretch if they can get through it, and obviously you got Iowa State on the other side, but I think it's theirs to lose, man. They have the talent, the guard play. Um, it's you're the champs until you're beaten. That's kind of the mojo of it. Honestly, I think the SEC, and I'm a little biased to that, but I think the SEC. I think Texas. I mean, I said Texas. Texas has another year. I think Tennessee is going to, I think, have a nice opportunity to make a run. Tennessee, Alabama, obviously. Uh, Florida is my go-to. My big bias, and then you got Kentucky still making noise with their young group. Um, but the sleeper, probably not a sleeper, is Auburn though. The SEC champs. So they'll have a tough run, obviously facing UConn hopefully, but well before that San Diego State. I mean them too. So it gets tough, but I think a lot of SEC teams will make a lot of noise moving on to the second round. For whatever reason, I always think the ACC. I think the tournament gets it gets scary, man, for the ACC when that time of year comes around. I think Duke's been playing really good basketball throughout the year, but I think they're still young too, and they could potentially face a crazy, talented, that can shoot lights out Wisconsin team in the second round. So that can get a little scary. Obviously, North Carolina is been dominant. Baycott's been awesome, um, and UNC legend for sure. But they may have their hands full too. but I think they may be able to. I feel like out of all the ACC teams, I think North Carolina may have the best chance, but I think it gets scary for them.
Mhm.
Obviously UConn. You respect UConn and what they did, but I think watching really Auburn really was a dominant performance, obviously against Florida. And just to see Coach Pearl and the way he has those guys playing was electrifying. But I think Wisconsin too. I think Wisconsin surprised a lot of people. Obviously, they beat Purdue, so that I think that you gotta kind of pay attention to that. You got to really see what, like you said, what teams are playing their best ball going into the tournament. That is huge. Hopefully for Purdue, that doesn't knock them off their high horse too much. But I think Wisconsin they've had some rough years the last couple, but they've always been like a scary team to all right, these guys can play, they can shoot the ball, they defend well, and they're scrappy. So look out for Wisconsin. There's always a couple. I like New Mexico. I think what New Mexico's or New Mexico State. I think New Mexico. Yeah, New Mexico. I like their chances.
Yeah.
I actually like them against Clemson in the first round. Um, which is crazy because I know Clemson's been playing really good. Uh, and a sleeper, like for an upset, my boy is gonna kill me for saying this because he goes to Arizona, but it's Long Beach State. Just hearing their story of their coach and just how they rallied behind him and won their tournament, and now they get an NCAA bid for the first time, what, 12 years? That's crazy. And they fired their coach, but he's still with them, and they're pulling through. They're still competing at a high level. Obviously Arizona's dominant. Caleb Love is my guy. Uh, Unbelievable player, but I always love a little Cinderella story, and I think that could be a little one. That could be one. Another one is Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, GCU could be a sleeper. I'm obviously in Phoenix now, so we get the rally around the city and the noise around the city. But to see what they did in the tournament and how they played and competed, like they're at a 12 seed. That's pretty good. So they've been playing good hoops all year. Obviously, they got a good St. Mary's team first round. Could see Alabama second, but that could be another one at 12, double digit joint. I'm looking a little further in the rounds. It won't be. I don't think any of. I think a lot of them will make it to the Sweet 16, but I think it'll be North Carolina. I think it'll be North Carolina because they can see Alabama there, and that can get tough. Ooh, coming out of the East, it's gonna be very close. I think in the Sweet 16 though, I love Illinois versus UConn matchup. Illinois is another sleeper I love.
Mhm.
And I have obviously UConn coming out of that bracket. Ooh, my Gators. I think it gets tough, man. If Shaka's at Marquette, right? Am I?
Mhm.
Shaka's at Marquette. Yeah. See
Yeah.
that's really going to hit home for me because Shaka recruited me at Florida
Oh,
and then
okay.
left to VCU before I got there, and obviously had the career that he's having now.
Right.
So that's going to be a tough one to see who I root for because I love Shaka. Um, and how he coaches, what he stands for. It's amazing what he's done with the Marquette program. That's tough. That's a, yeah. This South one is competitive. Samson has those boys playing though. John Schreier's my guy. Wisconsin's been dominant. Kentucky's young and hungry. South is tough, man. Why'd you do this one? Why'd they set it up like this? I'm obviously biased towards my Gators, but if I'm being realistic, I have Marquette and Houston in the Sweet 16. I got Marquette coming out of there. Ooh, the West gets tricky too. Um, Not too bad though. I think I like Alabama versus Arizona, Sweet 16, and that's gonna be high level basketball. But I'm going with my boy Caleb Love in Arizona coming out. This one is similar to the South. Midwest and South are very tough to pick from because Dalton's been hooping at Tennessee. He's player of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Like he's been hooping. Um, I still love Purdue. I still think I have Purdue. I got Kansas sitting there too. My boy Big Hunter. Ah, yeah, this one gets tricky. I like Tennessee, Texas second round. That's a tough one. But I'm gonna go Texas. I got Texas and Purdue, Sweet 16, and I'm gonna go with Purdue coming out of there. I think Zach
Awesome.
is hard to stop that big fella, man. I got UConn over Arizona. That's a tough one, but I think just Coach Hurley and the point guard, I forget his name. He's been killing. I think he averaged like 18, 7, and 6. He's and Coach Hurley challenges him. I love that. I love that about him. Um, I think I got Purdue over Marquette. So I got a UConn versus Purdue. And honestly, man, I think UConn runs it back. If I'm being honest, I think Tristan Newton, that's his name. I think yeah,
Yeah.
because he's locked in, very dominant guard. Cam Spencer shoots lights out of the ball. Um, I think they run it back. Coach Hurley, he's hungry, man. You can just see it. You can see it in his energy. Um, I think UConn runs it back.